Okay, everyone, so we're looking at something called dimensional analysis, or it's also known as the factor label method, or another way it's known by is basically a unit canceling method. So essentially what we're doing here is we're looking at when you're doing any sort of problem solving in any senior science course really, or if you are watching this from my AP course, any AP course, I expect you to be using this method as well, even from grade 9. So we're essentially going to look at some examples of how to do this. So what you're doing is you're basically going to be doing a calculation, of course, that you normally would, but you're essentially showing how your units are able to cancel to give your final unit for your answer. So typically how this is done is using conversion factors. So for example, if you know that 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour worth of time, you can manipulate that into a fraction depending on which one will work for your question. Okay, so for example, 60 minutes over 1 hour or 1 hour over 60 minutes. So I'll give you a little quick example to show you what I mean by that. So let's say we wanted to take 2 hours and I want to know how many minutes that would be. Okay, so how we want to convert 2 hours into the number of minutes. What you would have to do is essentially multiply by the factor that would help us to cancel the unit of hours out. So a nice easy way to remember to do this is the unit we want to get rid of has to be on the bottom. So we want to get rid of hours, so hours has to be on the bottom, the denominator. The unit that we want to have has to go on top. So the unit we want goes in the numerator. The unit we don't want, sorry, my dog has a squeaker toy under me. So the unit we want has to be on top. The unit we don't want has to be in the denominator. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So if we do 60 minutes over 1 hour, right, we're taking our conversion, the formula would then be, or the calculation would work out to be, let me just get rid of this to clean this up here. Okay. So the unit of hours would cancel out, because we have 1 in the numerator and 1 in the denominator, and we're left with the units that we need, which is minutes. So our calculation ends up being 2 times 60, which is 120, divided by 1. So we end up having 121 minutes. So this is essentially what dimensional analysis is. It's setting up the calculation so that the unit you want to get rid of is canceled, and the unit you want to have is left behind. Okay, so we're going to do a few practice problems. So let's take a look here. So we have, if the price of gasoline is $0.795 per liter, how much would it cost? So we're looking for the cost to fill up a gas tank for an 800-kilometer trip when the gasoline usage is 7.8 liters per 100 kilometers. So we're going to be using GRASP. So this is also a nice little review for what that means. So we're going to write down, so G is everything that we are given, and R is what we are required to find. So what we have here is we have the price of gas. Right? So the price of gas is $0.795 for every liter. We're looking for the cost. So the cost of the trip is what we're looking for. That's our required. We have a distance. So the distance we are traveling is 800 kilometers. And we have the usage of the car, which is 7.8 liters for every 100 kilometers. Okay, so there's a couple of ways that you can approach this, but really we are using dimensional analysis. So meaning remember our ultimate unit that we need is money. And we have a whole bunch of different things here. We have dollars per liter, we have kilometers, we have liters per kilometer. So there's no real formula to plug these numbers into. It's not like, you have a formula and you just plug in and go. You have to think about how are you going to get rid of these, let's say, units of kilometers. Well, if we multiply the distance times our usage, you can see how kilometers is in the denominator, we can actually get rid of it. So we're going to analyze and solve here. So our AS. So again, there's no formula here. So let's take a look at if we were to do our distance times our usage. Right? So what's happening is kilometers ends up canceling, and we're going to be left with units of liters. So it's going to be 800 times 7.8 divided by 100, which gives us 62.4 liters. So this tells us basically how much gas is our car going to use in that distance of our trip, our 800 kilometer trip. So our car is going to use up 62.4 liters worth of gas. Now, over here, right, you want to start looking at significant digits, but not right now. Okay, the reason why is we're not finished calculating this question out. You only want to look at your final answer to try and determine how many digits to report. So right now, we're not going to round this. We're not going to touch this number because we're not finished with it yet. Okay, so the last piece to this is we have liters and we want units of dollars. So we are going to take our total amount of gas and we're going to multiply it by our cost for each liter of gas. So if we do 62.4 liters times $0.795 for every liter, notice liters and liters cancel out. So we end up with 62.4 times 0.795. That's going to give us $49.608. So this is going to be the total cost of the trip. Now, normally what you would do is you would look at the data given from this question and determine how many significant digits would you need to report this answer to. So, for example, the number 800 has one significant digit. 0.795 has three significant digits. And here we have 7.8 for every 100 kilometers, which is a conversion factor, so we can't actually really even look at this value. So between these two, it would be one significant digit. Now, you're going to learn very quickly that chemistry has a lot of exceptions to rules. So I'm going to teach you a lot of things this semester, and then I'm going to teach you a lot of things that are going to break the rules I'm going to teach you. So here we have money. So money, when you are expressing it, is always in terms of dollars and cents. Now, money is always to two decimal places, right? So let's say you're buying something in the store and it's $3.99. So it's $3.99, right? So you don't actually use significant digits with money because it's always to two decimal places, right? So our final answer here would be $49.61. Now our P section would be to write a paraphrase. So we would write here a little sentence. I'm kind of running out of space, but you would write here, the price of gasoline for our total trip is $49.61. So money is always to two decimal places because that's how our units of cents are expressed. Okay, so here's another one actually. I'm going to have you try this out. You can pause the video and give this a try. So this is saying how many seconds are there in one semester of chemistry? And we are going to assume that we are in class for 88 days. And each day we're gonna think that we're in a regular days period, not our COVID-19 period length. But we're gonna assume that there are 70 minutes in every period or in every day of the semester. So we're in class for 88 days, and each day that we are together in a normal day schedule would be for 70 minutes. So give this a try. I want you to determine the total number of seconds in the entire semester that we would be together. Okay, so let's take a look at the information that we have. So we know that one semester is 88 days, right? So we have 70 minutes. So let's write out what we need. So we want the number of seconds total, right? We know that there are 70 minutes in one day. We also know that in one semester, there are 88 days, right? And we know that in 1 minute, there is 60 seconds, right? Because eventually we need to convert minutes into seconds. So eventually we want to work this out so that we end up having units of seconds. So taking a look at this, you want to rearrange these factors, conversion factors, so that it's able to cancel out various things. So for example, we can do this. How about we try to determine how many minutes are in the 88 days total? So for example, if we were to start solving this, 88 days, right, per semester times 70 minutes per day. Sorry, my nose. So what ends up happening is days cancel, which will give us how many minutes are in one semester, right? So if we do 88 times 70, remember we are not rounding anything down right now. That means we have 6,160 minutes in one semester. I'll do that as a short form, which is great. Okay, well, we have the number of minutes in the one semester, but we want the number of seconds. So what we're going to have to do here, and remember we're not rounding anything because we're not finished there yet. We have 6,160 minutes in one semester. So we're going to have to convert that into seconds. So for every 1 minute, there are 60 seconds. So remember, the unit you want to cancel, you need to have 1 in the numerator and 1 in the denominator. So we had to flip this unit conversion factor. So that way, seconds is remaining. Seconds in a semester, which is exactly what we want. So we take that, we multiply that by 60. So we have 369,600 seconds in one semester. Now, for significant digits, here's a good point. For when you're determining the significant digits of your final answer, you have to look at the original numbers that are given in the question. Now, in this question, we only have one data value that's given, which is 88. So meaning it has 2 significant digits. So our final answer here has to be rounded to 2 significant digits. So this would actually round to be 370,000 seconds in one semester of chemistry. Okay, so remember when we did our money example, money was a different case because it doesn't follow significant digits. However, any other type of scenario, you would look at the data from the given question. So in this case, we would have 2. You could have also said this in scientific notation. 3.7 times 10 to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is a 5. Okay. So that would also be acceptable. It's the same number. It's the same number of sig figs.